You see, I don't know if you looked at my merch stand, but you see I now have a comic. Did you see that? I have written a comic. I haven't done the illustration. I've written a comic about, and it's coming out in 4 parts, and the first part is there, and it's eventually coming out as a graphic novel. And it's about a geezer called Hannibal Barca. Have you ever heard of him? Not Hannibal Lecter. It's Hannibal Barca. He was a Carthaginian general, and on one day, he killed more people than any other people have ever been killed on one single day, and he did that to the Romans. And I've written and then he's a very interesting character. He invaded Italy, remember, with the elephants over the Alps? He united all these tribes, different tribes from Africa. None of them could speak the same language. How did he talk them all into it? And they got some elephants, they crossed over into Spain, they went up into the Alps, they came down into Italy. They didn't have many elephants left by the time they got down. A lot of these people had never even heard of snow or seen. They were from like jungles in Africa, Zulus and Pygmies and sort of Arabic people, and he led this coalition against the Romans. And the Roman cavalry, the horses went mad when they smelt the elephants. Anyway, he inflicted some terrible defeats on the Roman army, and eventually it all went wrong, and he went on the run, and he eluded the Romans for about 35 years on the fringes of the Roman Empire, like a sort of like a BC Osama bin Laden, sort of hiding out and then coming out of the woodwork. And I've written this comic about him, and I've written this comic about him on his adventures. I've always been channeling him, and this is true. If you Google him and look at this statue of him, it looks like me. He really does. He really looks like me. Like, I'm not joking. And I feel like, I don't know, he was a lot braver than me, obviously, but I don't think he was very good on a 12 string. And look, one of my favorite characters in the comic is this king of Armenia. He's a real spineless guy. He's just eating chicken and drinking wine, and his wife really hates him, but she falls in love with Hannibal because he's really sexy and dashing. And she's like, you know what, we can't pay this money to the Romans anymore. And he's like, oh yes, my dear, I wouldn't be too hasty. We've got any more of that chicken and more of that wine. I think we should see what this Hannibal fellow could do for us. And Hannibal comes in, he's real. Anyway, it's all in that comic. You don't need to buy it now, I fucking explained the whole thing. So there you go. How many, I don't know. Does James Rain have a comic out? I don't fucking think so.
Hope not.
He probably does, and it's probably selling more than mine at readings right now. Anyway, I don't know why I'm saying all of that. Can I tell you the bizarre way I discovered Hannibal? Look, I'm pretty old, I'm almost 72. I don't know if anyone else is my age here. You are? Okay, you might remember this, you might not. I haven't met one person who can remember this. When I was 6 years old, my mother took me into a school uniform shop in Wollongong. And there were all these shorts I had to try on, and she said, go in that room and try these shorts on. And when I tried these shorts, I put my hand in the pocket, and I pulled out a picture. And it was like Captain Cook or someone. And then I realized each pair of shorts had a picture of some famous historical personage. I didn't want Captain Cook. What a pansy with a wig and a fucking hat and all of that shit. And I don't know, there were some kings of England, I was really bored. And I was fishing around in the pockets, suddenly I pulled out this card, and it's Hannibal. And he's standing there, and he's got this winged fucking helmet. He's standing there in the snow with a spear, with beautiful profile, beautiful jaw, and like, no, it's kind of like mine, you know, straight but not too big. He's standing there, watching the elephants come down the Alps, and it began an absolute lifelong fascination with this character. So that's where it all came from, and there's my comic over there. You should check it out. You're going to get addicted. No, you're going to get addicted. You're going to be lapping up the Punic Wars on Netflix. During COVID, which is a really boring subject, when I hear anyone say that, I go, fuck no, I don't want to hear about that. During COVID, I was doing these shows and I was saying, oh, next week I'm going to play all of this record, next week I'm going to play all that record. And then I got into these records that were too hard to learn. Like I couldn't play all the Priest Equals or it was too hard. It wasn't a sort of record you'd play. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I said, look, next week I'm going to write a brand new record, I'm going to play it. And then that was on Monday night, and people going, oh great, I can't wait for that, that's going to be good. Like I have thousands of people watching my show at this stage, because there's nothing else to do. The moment COVID was over, I went back down to 3 viewers. But at this stage, there are 1,000 people. People in America were getting up at like 4 a.m. and people all over the world, in Japan and stuff, watching it. And I said, next week I'll write a brand new record. And like 5 days went past, I hadn't written one song. And Rachel, who's out there selling the merch, said, hey, didn't you say you're going to write some songs? I went, yeah, I will. She said, well, it's tomorrow night. Fucking hell. But there's nothing like the pressure of a procrastinated job to give you the spur to do it. And so I smoked a spliff, and I sat down, I pulled out my guitar, and I wrote like 8 songs in a row. And they were all okay, they were all pretty good. And this was the first one, and they all sort of just like came down effortlessly. Like, I don't know how it was working. Sometimes, I read Bob Dylan, he said, sometimes that just fucking happens, you don't know how. You just see songs just appear in your head with the words and the music and everything. And this is the first one that came down and sounded like this. It's the first song on 11 Women, and each song on the record was about a woman. And this one was about a woman called Poppy Byron. Poppy Byron, can you feel her pull? 19th century without a war. Percy, please come along for the ride. Poppy Byron, what's it feel like inside? Mary Shelley was watching the telly. On SBS it was in Mandarin. A snake on its belly, an eel in its jelly. Poppy Byron was pulling in. At first, my head says Ginny. Byron, she's on her yacht. Poppy Byron, she's doing what she got. Tiger with the golden eye. Poppy Byron, what's it feel like inside? What's it feel like inside? All right.